Hey, it's Doc here in the big studio here in Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and on the line with two of the three guys from Triumph who are making just an unbelievable out of the blue reuniting and going on tour for the first time in over 30 years. And before I get started, I'm the anti-radio interview guy. I saw you, by the way, talking to my buddy Meltdown in Detroit. I've
Yeah.
known Uncle Melty for over 30 years. He and I are two like old school rock radio guys. So great
Right
dude.
on.
Great dude. And I know you have a little history with Detroit, Rick. I watched the interview last night as I left the air. But
yeah. We're playing there too, but you also did some work in Buffalo. We're playing there as well.
Yes.
That's sort of towards the end of the tour. Like we're out at Darien Lake kind of thing. But yeah. When are we having your neck of the woods? When is that happening?
You're going to be here on April 13th.
Okay.
Hopefully, when you get here, the weather won't remind you of Canada because it's been pretty cold here. We have set records first time in 15 years. It's been pretty cold here.
Right.
But before we get on with the conversation, I have to tell you the story. Okay. And I've been on the radio 42 years next month. I've never met you guys, but I've been the biggest fan of you. And I want to tell you, and not to date myself or you. So I'm in school. I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio, great rock city. And I'm up at like 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night. And all of a sudden this TV commercial comes on. And it's about you guys going on tour and Rock and Roll Machine. And it's this commercial. And I'm watching and it's like, this is like half Kiss, half Rush. And I'm a teenager. I'm a young kid. I'm like, holy crap. Who are these guys? Holy crap. So I dated this really cute girl in high school, and her name was Debbie, and I tell her, like, I saw this band on TV. I've never seen a rock band advertise on television. They're coming to Music Hall in downtown Cleveland to do a show. I go, we are so going to this concert. Ended up seeing you. You actually played, it was either 1979 or 1980, and you guys played Music Hall twice in 1 year. Like you played in the winter, and I hope I have my year right, and I want to say 80 or 79. You played in the winter, and sure enough, 6 months later, I'm seeing you again in the same venue. And then a year or two later, I had a chance to see you for the first time at Public Hall. And I don't know how familiar you are with Public Hall in downtown Cleveland, but that is where the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame would do the induction ceremonies. And back in the day, before they moved it to the arena where the Cleveland Cavaliers play hockey now, Rocket Arena. But they used to have when, because they take turns with the Rock Hall, they're in New York and then they're in LA and then they're back in Cleveland and they kind of do a round robin thing. But that venue that you guys played for the first time, basically Music Hall and Public Hall in downtown Cleveland are connected and they're in the same spot in downtown Cleveland. And I literally had a chance to see you guys like 3 times in 2 years. And I have been the biggest Triumph fan since. And I don't know who thought to ask me to do this interview. I've been doing afternoons in Miami longer than anybody, but I'm like, I am so in. So to meet Gilmore and Rik Emmett of Triumph via video, trust me, I'll harass you in 2 months. Great. It's so awesome to have you on. People will be able to watch this on our website, big1059.com, our social media pages and all that. So welcome, guys. Great news that you're back together for this. And I'm going to ask the question that I think that not only the big listeners here in South Florida and all around the country would ask, but our iHeartRadio app listeners that listen from all over the place that maybe came down here for a week, listened to the radio station like, wow, what a kick-ass rock station that is. And now they listen from Des Moines, Iowa, whoever, Spokane, Washington, somewhere. But I want you to take us to the moment like who made the first call, where you said, you know what? We should get back together. It's been over 30 years. I'm tired of working at the hardware store or the car wash or whatever you've been doing for the last 30 years, or you started in an accounting firm or whatever it is. And you said, like, let's get the band back together. Let's go. Who made the phone call? Whose idea was it at first? And how did it all go down? I'm sure your fans want to know this question, the answer to this question.
Well, I'm going to let Gil take that question because he was the one that was always dreaming about wanting to get his rock and roll machine back out on the road. So, Gil, take it away.
But I'll walk you through the stepping stones. I mean, as Rocket said, we had a conception. The lighting director that we worked with back in the day, who's really a genius, Paul Dexter. He was working with me since about 2019 on the idea of putting the band back together in what I'll just call a new sort of experiential format. So it was going to involve holography. It was going to involve a lot of mixed reality. It was not going to be similar to what, say, ABBA are doing in London, but we were working on kind of our own thing that we were developing. But then, life came along and circumstances came along and different things happened. The first thing that happened was, they decided to do a documentary on the band, and that, brought a lot of memories back. It brought a lot of people together. It resonated really well with the fans. And it kind of predicated our record company going, you know what, we want to do a tribute album. And they hired the great Mike Clank, who's done so many big rock records, to sit behind the board and put it together. And then all of a sudden, we got all this love from the people that went on the record, everybody from Nancy Wilson to Slash and Larry Gowan and all these great artists, Mickey Thomas, I could go on and on. They're all on the record. So that was the next step. And then, the serendipity of the whole hockey world we were just talking about, and the Panthers in Edmonton and so on. The NHL, lo and behold, they decided, let's use Lay It on the Line as a song to promote the hockey playoffs.
Absolutely.
And as Canadians, we all wanted to be NHL hockey players, myself included.
True.
And so the next thing you know, Rogers Sportsnet, which is the big media conglomerate in Canada, says, hey, now that every hockey game for the NHL playoffs involves Triumph music, why don't you guys come to the game out and the Panthers Edmonton in the final series out at Rogers Stadium in Edmonton? And that was kind of that moment. You're asking about the phone call. So that's when the phone call, Rocket and I just discussed it and said, hey, maybe this would be fun. Phil X was involved because, of course, he was one of the, the leaders in our tribute record. So he was part of the convo. Mike Klink was kind of, he was chirping from over here saying, you guys need to do this. We had a new manager that is a kind of visionary. His name's Jason Murray, great guy. And he was like, you know what, boys, let's do this. So there was this chirping from all around us. I would say, and Rick and I were just in the middle of this, beehive of, enthusiasm. And of course, then you ask your wife and your kids, and they're like, yeah, let's do it. So, I mean, that's it. We just pulled the trigger, but we weren't thinking about a tour. There was none of that. It was just, let's go out. We'll rehearse with Phil. Phil brought, of course, Todd Kearns, an amazing bass player and vocalist, and works with Slash, as does Brent Fitz, the other drummer, who's working with us. And we fell in love with those guys. I mean, Brent's an awesome drummer, and he's a friggin' genius on the technology side as well. And Todd, as Rick has said, is the rock star of all rock stars. We got Phil X, we got Rik Emmett standing in front of the drum kit. So I got a double-barreled shotgun, a great guitar. So the whole thing just made sense. We went out, we had one rehearsal, we played the show, and then the next day Live Nation calls and says, this is too good.
Let's rock and roll.
That's the story.
It's funny that you mentioned family, Gil, because that's what I was thinking. Like, okay, maybe the guys in the band is on board, but did you get any pushback, say, from family or management or anybody like that? Or was the wife like, get the hell out of the house?
Yeah, that was the push I got. The push was like you asked
Whoa.
about the phone call. The phone call that I got. First of all, it was the lay it on the lines on the hockey things, and everybody sending me texts and going like, "Wow, your songs!" And so it was like, "Oh, the songs are like making this kind of comeback." So then when the call comes to me and it's like, "So you want to go do this?" I go to my wife. I go, "Pros and cons, darling." And she goes, "Well, let's do pros first." I said, "Okay, well, I'm going to have to get in shape. I'm gonna have to like go." And she goes, "Okay, well that's it. That's it. Go and get in shape and get out on the road and let's do this." I go, "Okay, all right, all right." Yeah,
It was the nice way of telling you to get out of the house
yeah,
and the nice way to get you back in shape and get you back on the treadmill and all that.
that's it.
Uh,
Yes.
how funny. When you started rehearsing again, were you surprised? Like, did it click? Or did
Well,
you
it's
need a
not like
minute?
it's not like magic, but I'll say this: there are things where, like Gil and I have started playing together a little bit. I'm sending voice memos to the other guys. Our rehearsals won't start again for another few weeks, but Gil and I are already getting together a few times a week, and there is something, I don't know. It's like you're recapturing something from literally 50 years ago. So there's an emotional thing that, and I hasten to add, it's not like I can easily summon these things and make my hands do the things that I did when I was, 22. But um, there is a thing where you kind of go, but I think I was born for this. And I think I was probably born to be with that idiot over there in that screen. And we were both sort of born to be dumbass idiots together doing this thing. Now, Mike, he's drifting around. We're not sure how much we're going to be able to get Mike, to actually buckle down and, strap on the harness and do it. But when Gil described the thing about the other three guys in Edmonton, there was something very real there. Like when you play with great musicians, there's something that's, you can't get it from anything else in life. And so it doesn't really matter how much money there is. It doesn't really matter how many tickets you sell. What really matters is that there's this organic thing, which I think goes to the heart of your question. Is there something there that's kind of like a magic that music making has? And the answer is yes. That's right. It's true. Yes.
And that's not out of the realm for Triumph, because if anybody knows anything about your history, you guys have had other guys on stage with you in the past. You've had plenty of studio musicians with you in the past. I'm a big fan of the band, so I just know this off the top of my head. But so that's not really that big of a deal. Like I know you're going to have a couple other people touring with you. Why don't we talk about them real quick? Who's going on the road with you when you guys start?
Well, we're hoping Mike's going to be out if he's able. That's going to be a game time decision. I mean, just why he missed the Edmonton show was he was not able to do that one, and that is what sort of predicated bringing out Todd Kearns. Uh, and I hadn't been rehearsing, so that's what predicated bringing out Brent. And we'd never done double drummers. So these things, like I said, it was kind of like accidents how it kind of fell together. We always knew Phil was coming. Um, but Mike was in Toronto. Actually, I did an interview that day while we were out there, and I think we actually did one from the trailer where all six of us were together as a six-piece power trio. So yeah, I mean, Todd. I'm not answering the question. You want to know about Todd Kearns and Brent Fitz, right?
Yeah, I mean, just for
Rick,
the
Rick
average
is good at
fans out there
describing these
that want to know a little bit about them, who's going on the road with you, basically, and obviously accomplished great musicians, or they wouldn't be going on the road with you.
Yeah, it'll be all six. It'll be all six of us with Mike as an asterisk because of some health things that are going on in his life, and we're just we have our fingers crossed that we're going to see him out there, but we can't predict, what's going to happen. With Mike's itinerary, I can tell you one thing: he really wants to be there. His heart's in it, and I talk to him very regularly, so I know what he's thinking. So hopefully he'll be back in the saddle, but we're the other five of us are going to be there at every show, and we're ready to roll out the rock
Ready
and
to
roll.
rock and roll.
The dust is off.
And if you're just joining us in the video, Triumph is back together after 30 plus years. We're on the video call here with Rik Emmett and Gil Moore of Triumph, and the show will be on April 13th at Hard Rock Live in Hollywood. Phenomenal venue, sound, 7,000 seats, phenomenal. Just you guys are going to love it. MyHRL.com. I believe the tickets go on sale this Friday. What is today? The 4th. So yeah, the 6th at 10 a.m. So FYI on that. And, you know, and I noticed something in the press release that I get from the Hard Rock. You have a special relationship with Make-A-Wish. And tell us about what's Make-A-Wish. Basically, there's some proceeds from these shows that will go to Make-A-Wish Foundation. Let's talk about that real fast.
100% of the profits from the shows are going to go to Make-A-Wish. And, you know, I think as we get older and we have families, we have kids, it's first of all, you know, our jobs to be as parents or to guide the younger folks and to help them along and so on. And, you know, the gentleman that started Make-A-Wish, who was an Arizona State Trooper, I mean, talk about a visionary. And this was really, you know, police engagement with youth back in the day before anyone even knew what that was all about. And Frank had this idea to, you know, grant a wish to a young person. And that wish might be to ride in a patrol car or, you know, wear a sheriff's outfit or hat or, you know, I'm not sure of the exact particulars, but, you know, Rik has kids. I have kids. We all have kids. And, you know, just thinking about some of the less fortunate stories with illnesses and things that happen to young people that restrict their activities, there isn't a better organization anywhere than Make-A-Wish that's doing anything better in the community. And we're thrilled to be part of being able to help them advance their cause down here as part of these Florida shows.
You know, I think it's absolutely amazing that you guys are doing this. And correct me if I'm wrong, but throughout the history of the band, whether you were together or not, you guys have always been pretty philanthropic.
Well, there's the thing that's at the heart of the music, you know, the magic power of the music and fighting the good fight and never surrendering and holding on to dreams and all of these kinds of things that have been a part of the Triumph ethos, you know. So the step across into sort of public service, charitable work, those kinds of things, those connections come pretty easy, you know, they make sense for us. And music is something that forms the soundtrack for people's lives, you know, in one case. And Triumph very much serviced this because there was a side of Triumph which came mostly from Gil, which was the whole live for the weekend, tear the roof off, party hardy kind of thing, which rock and roll at its heart, it has to do that. It has to celebrate life in that kind of hedonistic kind of way, you know. But there was Rik, you know, sitting there going, "Hey, guys, I got a song. It's, you know, it's called, you know, Hold On to Your Dreams," you know, and they're going, "Okay, Rik, what is it this time?" You know, but I was, you know, the sort of the choir boy was kind of the guy that wrote these tunes. So, you know, it's always been a part of how we think and how we approach things. And look, Rock and Roll Machine's back out on the road. The rubber is meeting the road, but the rubber for us has to be something where it's also, there's got to be some meaning here. There's got to be some value. It can't just be, you know, a rolling circus. It's got to be doing things to help people in their lives, you know. And Gil was saying, I got kids. I got 5 grandkids, you know. So there's this whole thing now of like, we're going to go going out and playing shows. It's not just like, you know, I don't know, grandfathers and their sons and their grandchildren that are coming to the shows. It's a multi-generational kind of thing now. So that idea of conscience, you know, I do believe it's something that it's critical to us.
You know, it's funny you say that, Rik, because, you know, when you think of your dad and your grandparents and, you know, they're like, well, back in the day, I'd walk 15 miles in the snow to go to school and all that.
Exactly
So,
right.
say you with your kids, oh, back in the day, I used to be this phenomenal guitar player, rocking the stage, lights and lasers and explosions. Yeah, Grandpa, yeah, whatever you say. But now that
That's
you're
it.
coming back,
Yeah.
Now you can make them stand on the side of the stage or put them in the front row and like, holy crap, he
I
was really
know.
being honest.
I know. I know.
But oh my God, that's
Yeah.
Grandpa.
Yeah.
You know,
And
I want to tell you real fast. I saw a video right after he passed. Of all places, I was at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame when Ozzy died. And I saw this video pop up on Instagram, and it was Ozzy's grandkid, 2 years old. And he saw his dad on TV performing. He was like, Papa, Papa. I thought, God, how cool. You know, we all make such a big deal out of, a rock icon like that. And to that little kid, that's Grandpa. And I'm sure Rick, you're going to go, and Gil, you too. You guys are going to go through that with your kids and your grandkids. And imagine your kids' friends. Like, yeah, I know your dad was a rock star. Yeah, right. And then all of a sudden, holy crap,
yes.
he's up there. That's Gil playing the drums. Well, they better not call you Gil. They better call you Mr. Moore. But, but that's going to happen to you guys. I'm just curious. What's that?
My granddaughter calls me swimming pool grandpa. And when she doesn't call me that, she calls me Ampa.
Okay. Wow.
Because I have a big swimming pool and she takes her swimming lessons there. So that's the connection.
Swimming paw grandpa.
She takes piano lessons at Metalworks at our school.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
have you guys in your break, this break that lasted a couple of decades, what was it like for you to have a Triumph fan meet you at a Tim Hortons? Or, whatever, you're at the gas station pumping gas and all of a sudden somebody recognizes, aren't you Gil Moore? Aren't you Rik Emmett? And then, why aren't you guys together? What was that conversation like? I'm sure over these decades, it's been 3, that you have met plenty of Triumph fan who wanted to know, why aren't you guys together? Correct?
Yeah, although in my case, I mean, I was out touring and playing my own shows and doing things, and I was making records, and I was in guitar duos and trios, and I remained busy. Obviously, on a level where it's not in the music business, where Live Nation is wanting to do shows, and Big 105 is going to be talking about. But I remained a professional musician all of my life, and I taught at a college level. I did that for a couple of decades. And so I would see students and they're going, oh, you see a rock star. Oh, hey, I watched your US Festival video on YouTube last night. I had no idea that you used to wear spandex pants for a living, that kind of stuff. So, and you get that, you realize early that it's never going to, like I would do a show, meet and greets. People are lined up. They're going to, and hey, Rick, when are you going to play with Triumph again? I go, well, probably never. I'm happy doing what I'm doing and I don't need it. But it would be something that I had to deal with to a point where you're going, it's going to be on my tombstone. This is a thing that happened in my life that I can't get bigger than the Triumph thing. So then along comes to do it again.
Is it safe to say, you being a grandfather, the spandexes are retired?
Yeah, although I've been seeing some stuff online.
Don't even tell us you put them on.
No, there's suits you can get now. They're stretchy fabric, and I go, that very light. You don't sweat too much. I go, well, that sounds good. Maybe I should, we'll see. Who knows? But I don't think spandex pants is in the picture. No.
When I first started playing music, I always say radio personalities are frustrated musicians. When I first started playing music, my father bought me a drum kit at 5 years old. I have asked this question to Don Henley. I have asked this question to Don Brewer. Don Henley playing drums and singing Hotel California, one of the greatest rock songs of all time. Don Brewer playing drums and singing We're an American Band, Grand Funk Railroad. I always have had an extra amount of respect for a drummer who can not only kick ass behind the kit, but also sing. So, Gil, I have to ask you, since I asked those 2 guys before you, do you find it easy? Do you find it second nature? Is it all about focus and timing to sing? Because you're a good singer. and you're a great drummer. How's it for you? Is it easy or is it hard? Is it second nature?
Easy, but I mean, I got to say that, I've been asked this question a lot of times. I said, well, drumming and singing is a terrible idea unless you're extremely good at it, like Dean Castronovo in Journey. I mean, I'll say he's phenomenal. But it's like you're a plumber and an electrician at the same time. So you got one hand on the drain and one hand in the 240 volts, and sooner or later, spontaneous combustion is going to happen. Having said that, why did I start doing it? Because I knew it was a bad idea. I didn't want to, but when we started Triumph, before Triumph, I started because our singer quit. We had a gig for $100, and my band didn't want to miss the $100. When Triumph started, we got, Rik the Rocket, who's the master frontman. He's like, and Mike Levine, great, like big, we call him the Cowardly Lion sometimes because he was, the massive hair and everything. We wanted to engage the audience. We wanted to have a theatrical show. How can you have a theatrical show and everybody's just standing in one place? We wanted to have that big, not just soundscape, but also the visuals that went along with it. We wanted to exceed what other bands were doing. So they had to move. In order to do that, someone had to spell off the vocals. And, Mike was not a singer, really. So, I did it. But I didn't like singing until it was later on in our career, and I actually decided to get a vocal coach and had a tremendous opera singer, Ed Johnson, who's no longer with us. And then I actually learned to like singing. So singing became fun. I started singing it for my daughter. And, my kids have all heard me sing in the car. And my wife likes listening to me sing and so on. So I don't know how that's how the story happened. Again, circumstances. It wasn't by design. I always wanted to be a drummer. I just thought singing was, but now I like it.
There you go. Hey, I have a couple more questions for you. I know we got to wrap things up, but real fast. What would the 1980s Triumph tell the 2026 Triumph? What would the 80s version of the band,
what a question,
give advice to the 2026 version of Triumph? Especially you two guys.
I can handle this one because I happened to be in the band back in that time, and I am going to be in the band again. And so one of the things that I'm telling myself is make sure you rely on Phil and Todd and Brent and get the best out of them that you possibly can, because they're phenomenal. And I'm really looking forward to that energy of those guys coming in and having that be something that makes the band. See, it's called, Rock and Roll Machine Reloaded. We are going to be revisiting all of that stuff that the band that we were back in the 80s, right? But it's not the same thing. It's going to be 2026 and everything's different. Technology is different. The gear that I'm going to use is different, but rock and roll, the spirit, the heart of it hasn't really changed. So there's a part of me that says, don't forget that what you're supposed to do is make the connection with those people that are out in the seats. That's the thing that matters. Everything we do, the show, the script, the way I work with the other musicians, the way Gil and I are deciding what parts we're going to play and how we're going to arrange them, and whether or not we got to move the keys down a little bit, whether I got to detune the guitar a bit, things that we have to do just because we're not young anymore. But I would say the advice I give myself is, well, use your wisdom then. Use your understanding, use your brain and your noodle a little bit more, because back then I was sort of living a lot in my pants, like the whole idea of you're a rock star. Yeah, well, it wasn't necessarily about thinking. It was more about feeling. So, I'm trying to move the intellectual thing up into my head a little bit more.
What about you, Gil?
Same thing, really. Like I think the biggest thing I would have told myself back then is it'd be great to have a great manager. And because Mike and I did so much of the management, we were really the first indie band that really were self-determined, that went with you mentioned the TV commercial, like that wasn't a fluke. That was a thing that we planned. Yeah, we started with a crazy poster because we hadn't found Rik yet. Our poster was a devil's head with flames. I mean, you can't have anything better than a devil's head with flames. But now, what am I telling myself? Well, because we have a manager, I have time to actually practice. And so I've reinvested so much of my time now in my home gym. I have a massive set of drums in there. And I go in there and I can do 90 minutes to 2 hours. I break it up with vocals too, because I stop playing for a few minutes. I have a speaker and then I have tracks recorded and I'm just the lead vocalist for a while. And then I go back on the kit. But what I've found is the drums is the best exercise equipment of all time. And I would encourage all your listeners, take your treadmill to the recycler, go buy yourself a big set of drums. Trust me on this one, fires more neurons up here than any other musical instrument. This is starting to become fact.
I think my neighbors already hate me, but if I put a drum kit in my garage, I'm going to be on everybody's crap list. But I love the advice. Like I said, I got my first drum kit when I was 5 years old. Hey, I'm going to wrap this up with what I call 3 questions. Right. Super simple. No two answers are the same, except for maybe the last one. All right.
Okay.
Mr. Rik Emmett, guitarist extraordinaire. Your first car. What was your first car?
It was a Thunderbird. It was a green Ford Thunderbird.
Gil, same question.
It was a Thunderbird. You think this is phony, but it's not. Mine was a 1956 classic T-Bird that I restored.
Ooh.
2-seater.
Hey, you didn't know this, but his nickname is Bird. And the Triumph logo around 1983, it got a giant golden Thunderbird. And whenever I see the bird, I go, it's Gil. It's Gil's band. The bird is Gil.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Second question. Gil, we'll start with you. Favorite song, all-time favorite song. You can only pick one.
Triumph song or
Triumph song, not yours, somebody else's.
Somebody else's. Danny Boy.
Which one?
Danny Boy.
Danny Boy by?
I don't know. Who's the original artist?
Come on. Oh, Danny Boy, the pipes are calling.
The Irish Danny Boy?
Yeah.
I'm thinking rock and roll. I'm half Irish too. Rik, what about you? Your all-time favorite song can't be a Triumph song.
Oh, man, I don't know. Okay, so this is like a desert island thing. I would take a Steely Dan Asia album, and probably I would pick which one do I want off that? I can't think of the title of it now. It's gone out of my head. The one about the sax player, Deacon Blue.
Deacon Blue.
Deacon Blues, yeah.
Okay. See, mine is kind of funny because somebody asked me this the other day, and I said it's When the Levee Breaks, Led Zeppelin, which isn't even a Led Zeppelin song.
Yes.
It's an old blues tune from the 20s or 30s or sometime, but it's my favorite Zepp song. Last but not least, I'm a big Stephen Colbert fan, and as many great interviews as that guy has done over the years, famous people, politicians, whoever, he came up with the greatest question, I think, of all time, and I'm stealing it, blatantly stealing it to wrap up this interview. And I'll start again with you, Rik. Rik Emmett, best sandwich. Best sandwich. What is the best sandwich on the planet? And you can only pick one.
Okay. I want a thing that's sort of like a Tim Hortons breakfast sandwich, but I want it to be gigantic. But I want some egg in there. I want some cheese. I want a layer of meat. I don't care if it's ham or chicken, but I want some of that. I probably want a little bit of mayo in there and a little bit of honey mustard, believe it or not. And let's get it on a brioche kind of bread. And that, to me, is the perfect sandwich.
Gil, best sandwich, brother.
I'm going to do a free advertisement here for Applewood Shovels here in Mississauga. Favorite restaurant of all time. So there's a gentleman there named Rob who actually came from a very high-end restaurant where I sometimes would go with my wife, and that's how I met him. And he has this little bistro inside the car dealership. He makes everything homemade. I go there for breakfast twice a week, but he makes a sandwich It's a Western Denver, but of course everything is like, provolone cheese and what have I got mixed up here? The ham. What's the fancy ham called again?
I don't know.
Okay.
Florentine.
I know the name, but I can't think of it right
Fancy
now.
ham.
On the spot, and I'm not a chef. Anyway, he makes this Denver that's all like very, very high end, items. It's not like your average sandwich. So if you want to check it out, even though I can't name all the components, it's Applewood Chevels. It's here in Mississauga. So you folks in Florida, we're about 2,000 miles up I-75 and then turn left over towards Toronto. And Mississauga is just a little further left. It's a great place to go. If you'd like to go to a car dealership for a great meal, I can highly recommend it.
When you were thinking about fancy ham, did you mean prosciutto? Is that what you were thinking?
Prosciutto ham, of course. That's my Italian.
Yeah. See, I've known that guy for about 50 years. Yeah. So there you go.
Mine's real easy. Mine is a grilled cheese with a tomato.
Ooh.
And I know people in South Florida are going to get mad at me for not saying a Cuban sandwich. We have plenty of really good ones down here. Yeah. But to me, I don't know, maybe it's Great Lakes me. You can't beat, especially on a cold day, a nice bowl of soup with a grilled cheese and put a tomato on there, and I'm in heaven.
No, that's good. That's good. Is it brown bread or white?
Oh, I'll do wheat, but I'll take white. Sourdough is good too.
Oh, now you're talking.
Sourdough. So I'm going to talk to the wife later and say, hey, it's been kind of crappy around here weather-wise. Talking to the guys in Triumph today. And Rick and Gil recommend I have a grilled cheese sandwich tonight with some sourdough. Do we have some sourdough and a tomato?
Right on. Good for you.
So we'll see you in about 2 months. Okay. I'm going to come to the show. I'm going to BS my way backstage, hopefully. And the show is on April 13th, Hard Rock Live, myhrl.com to buy tickets to see the iconic Triumph as a reunite after 30-plus years. And officially, there's been some spotty here and there. And we talked about the Edmonton Oilers. But honored to talk to you guys. I can't believe I've been doing this for over 40 years, and I've never interviewed either one of you until today. First for everything. But great to have you on this video call. God bless you guys. Health, rock and roll. We'll see you in about 2 months.
And Doc, let's not forget, we're there to support those kids and the Make-A-Wish Foundation. And I'm urging everybody in South Florida to support what a great charity they are and the great work that they do with young people. And we want to fight the good fight on this one together.